I'm here with my friend David Ashcraft, who is the senior pastor of LCBC Church here in Lancaster County. And LCBC is one of the 20 largest churches in America, which I think is super cool. On the other hand, we have been talking about the concept of competitive advantage. So I was thinking a little bit, is it weird to be talking to a pastor of a church about competition? But I don't think it's weird, and here's why. Any organization that is successful, by whatever standards we might judge success, but certainly the rate of growth that we've seen at LCBC is an indication of something, has some distinctives to it. And I am fascinated, David, to hear you talk about what you believe are the distinctives of LCBC, and perhaps even more importantly, how you have held fast to them over the course of now in excess of 30 years. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Roger.
You're welcome.
Good to be here. So I think for us, we don't necessarily think of it in terms of competitive edge, but we do definitely think through how can we impact as many people as possible by introducing them to Jesus Christ. And so LCBC stands for Lives Changed by Christ.
Right.
And so we're doing everything we can to introduce as many people for their lives to be changed by Christ. And so early on, I've been at the church now 28 years, and when I first came there were about 150 people. And so we were just saying, what do we need to do to impact, at that point, Lancaster County? Now it's how do we impact the state of Pennsylvania? And so a couple of things that we really began to focus on. One is just, I would call it from a business standpoint, customer service.
Yes.
But really we just talked about others focused and just saying it's not about us, it's about others who have yet to be introduced to Jesus. And so just being nice to people, being friendly to people, putting them first, just all the little details with our staff that we encourage is just returning phone calls quickly, emails quickly, just little things like that that people know that they're cared about. So I think that would be one thing that we focus hard on. Another would be just excellence and saying, let's do what we do well. And I think sometimes churches tend to think, oh, it's just church, it's no big deal. But we look at it and go, it's not just church, it's eternity. And so this really matters. And as we look at what God talks about, he definitely emphasizes doing things with excellence all the way through the Bible. And so we say, whatever we do, let's just do it very, very well. And so whether it's the way we organize ourselves, whether it's the way we pull off a gathering or a worship service, we say, let's just do it as well as we can and do it with excellence.
And is there a sense, there is for me, that there's only a really few things that you can do with excellence, and you almost have to choose them and name them and focus on them? Would you think that way?
Yeah, very much so. And so that was probably going to be one of my third points for competitive edge is really just focusing on the few things, or for us one thing, and do that as well as we can. And so even early on, we now have 14 locations, and as we started building buildings, Lancaster is notorious for having lots of kitchens in their churches and lots of meals that go along with church activity. And early on we said, you know what, we're not a restaurant, we're a church. And we decided we didn't want people, and women specifically, spending all their time fixing meals for us in the kitchens. Instead, we wanted them out impacting our communities.
No potlucks at LCBC?
So we don't have potlucks. No, we bring in food all the time with different organizations bringing their food to us. But so we don't need to spend time in the kitchen because we're not a restaurant, we're a church. We said the same thing about a school, and I know it's popular for churches to have schools in their buildings. We said we're not a school, we're a church. And so we've always focused on that. We get into trouble with other churches or other leaders in the community sometimes because we also say we're not a political organization. And so constantly people are coming to us and wanting us to push their political agenda, and we say, you know what, we're not about politics, and so no, we're not going to do that. So we say no to a lot of things to stay real focused on the main thing, which is introducing people to Jesus. So that would be a huge thing for us.
So what I'm hearing is being very focused, very clear about, I guess, what some people will call the main thing.
Yes.
And the main thing for you is introducing people to Jesus and looking at it in the light of eternity.
Yes.
And that forces you to clear a lot of other stuff out and be excellent about only a few small things.
And Roger, it's amazing to me. I look at smaller churches or organizations, and they're trying to do everything. I mean, they're doing 50 things, and people are just running every direction, and there might only be 100 people in the church, but they're doing so many things, and they're all exhausted.
Yeah.
And if you were come and look at us, we do 4 or 5 things, and that's it. And so, yes, I think being singular focused that way is huge. And then again, doing it as well as you can. And so when we talk about excellence, that doesn't mean perfection. And what is excellent for us today was not, we couldn't have done 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We look back in the past and see what we did, and we just kind of go, oh my. And back then we thought we were doing things with excellence.
Sure.
So
the standard
it morphs and
continues.
changes.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about doing the best you can with what you have available to you right now, and that's kind of how we define excellence as we look at that.
And all that, for me, brings us back to this theme of competitive advantage. Of course, you probably would not talk about it that way, but choosing the things that are central to what you believe God is calling you to do and focusing only on those things and clearing out the rest is the lesson I'm hearing here today.
Yeah, that's huge for us.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate
Thanks
you
for having me
here.
here.
You're welcome.
Yeah.